Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore Positive. I am positively in a very positive place. I'm looking at cranes and construction workers. I'm looking out over Canton and Canton Crossing. We are here at Pasquales. It is our first time here. They've been doing this since 1914, since 2021 here in the new Canton location. As you can see, it is beautiful, as is my guest, Nancy Longo from Pierpoint Restaurant, celebrity chef to the stars, as well as me. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery, Back to the Future. I've already given Nancy a scratch off here. Joe and Dom are going to come by. We're going to continue to talk about sausage, food. I went to the bathroom and I couldn't get in, which gave me a line for 2 minutes to look at all of the soups, all of the pastas, all of the cannoli fixings, all of the meatballs, and that's not even the fresh pastas and different things that they have here. You're a neighborhood girl.
I am.
You know
what I come here to eat?
Meatballs.
No, he makes pizzas are awesome.
You're
here.
a pizza person here.
Yeah, I'm a pizza person. I am.
All right, I got to keep you on.
And I used to go get pizza at the old place, but I think he's just upped his game here. I mean, the pizzas are just wild. They're really,
now, I
want to
be honest with you. I've been in here an hour, and it's slow because it's morning, it's breakfast. We're just in here. Lunch by the time...
The insanity.
By the time Pete Caringi gets here an hour and a half from now, it's going to be nuts, right? And the restaurant side's over here, and the deli side's over there, and it's a big circle, sort of. There's wines, all sorts of things. Everybody that's come in here has bragged about something different in here.
Well, I mean,
I was bragging about the sausage, which brought me here.
Right.
I had the broccoli rabe ravioli. Unbelievable. I took that home with the sausage and sauce. I told them I had a michi sauce because they sell it to me in vats down there, and we freeze it. And I had the Michaels of Brooklyn that comes in the can, the jar. It's good for jar sauce. But I haven't had his sauce yet. And I had people here say, this is the best sandwich. This is the best this is the best that. I've been told, eat the meatballs here, get the meatball sub. Now you're telling me the pizza.
The pizza's really good. He has a
I want the cannoli.
He has a mushroom pizza in here that's like a white pizza with mushroom. It is so good.
I don't eat white pizza.
It doesn't have
sauce.
And here's the thing.
I don't eat white
pizza. The problem
is
that I can't eat pizza, tomato sauce, in too many places because most people don't understand. You know how Italians make sauce, pizza? You're supposed to breathe on it. So we've gotten to this place where we dump all these tomatoes on there, and the tomatoes are like squishing down my face, and that's not how I got a pizza as a child. First and foremost,
you want a sauce, a real sauce.
I want to be able to just breathe over it. Yeah, like I want to barely be able to see it. I want to know it's there, but barely there. And too many people make pizza with too much tomato sauce on it. I've not had a tomato sauce pizza here.
You've never been to Chicago then, right? The deep dish.
I've been to Chicago, but I've never had
deep dish
one
is that,
So
like
what I grew up with, I never had a flat pizza. My grandmother would come on Sundays, and Renzo would make pizza out of focaccia. And everybody goes, it takes 2 days. No, it doesn't. It's a 3-hour gig. You made it. But she would put little dots of tomato on top. So, everything you have as a childhood memory becomes your plug-in for the rest of your life.
I still have Houston Oilers stuff because of that, yes.
Yes, for the rest of your life. So I can't eat pizza at places because I see the cheese sliding off because they put too much sauce on there. I have to say to them, light on the sauce if I order pizza somewhere.
Nancy, I respect your chefing as much as I respect anybody's chefing. What are your other bizarre idiosyncrasies about foods that you're like, I know people do it that way, but I'm not doing it that way. I'm not eating that.
I laugh because people laugh at me and they're like, I've never seen anybody. They will order boxes from us because we do meal boxes. And we do meal boxes for people who have a family member with dementia or they have a family member that's got cancer, a family member with other issues. And so they'll order stuff, or we have people that work too much and but we do it specifically for these people. We're not like massive selling boxes and every week there's something. There's a list and then you just call and you order what you want. So one of the things they always make me laugh about is I make fried rice. Having had lessons in Chinese at a young age, I can't stand little dried up green peas.
Okay.
But if I've had fresh ones, they're really good. So they'll laugh. They'll go, how come I'm going to get the fried rice? Could you put some peas in there? I'm like, I'll put them on top because I can't stand when they get all dried out. Just weird idiosyncrasy.
Okay, all right.
Just like most people I know that are Italian, they don't do green peppers. We only do yellow ones and red ones, roasted or
See, I think you're famous. By the way, Nancy Longo here from Pier Point Restaurants, been my lifer friend. I swear I don't remember ever doing radio with you, but you did sit down with me at a Super Bowl.
We did.
You were the Taste of the NFL chef for 25 years, right?
25 years. Yep.
They've wrecked that event. We can talk at length. The NFL's wrecked a lot of things, if you wish. But I don't want to say I know you through that. I know you best through that.
I think that was one of the most amazing fundraisers to ever be involved with. I mean, and there were years when, the Ravens would be in the Super Bowl, and I'd be like, okay, Nestor and Marty Bass are going to be my fill-in for my player.
Marty and I filled in. And
oh, my God. We got
had the
beat
best
up
time
at the front door. But you're talking about raising money for food-related charities. It was the most amazing thing. And, it was a bummer.
I'm going to take a picture of you and me and send it to Wayne Castrossi right now.
You should.
Did I do that right now?
Yes.
Because Wayne loves me, and I love Wayne, and Wayne loves
a good
you.
Guy.
Nancy and I selfieing. There we go. So Wayne, tell me about who Wayne is,
Wayne was
a Minnesota guy.
It was a Minnesota guy who was involved with a lot of charitable things, as well as owning a bunch of restaurants, and he came up with this idea that he would partner with the NFL, and they would have an event, and then Max was his partner, and Max was a great guy, but Max was in the music industry and knew how to do stagecraft, and so they put this event together, and they would get fabulous musicians to come and do this event. And then there were 30...
REO Speedwagon has played that
Billy
event.
Joel's band.
Brooks and Dunn.
It was crazy.
Just Bare Naked Ladies. I mean, they always had great, great bands.
And so they would all do this, and then there were 32 of us chefs and a few from the hometown. And we would raise money to the tune of well over $1 million a night or more for food-related charities. That does not include the chefs in their restaurants.
By the way, this is always the night before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Just so everybody knows, Saturday night, Nancy would come into town like on Wednesday, and you always did a crab-related dish.
Well, because
it was under a Ravens banner.
Yes.
And we had the Ravens table. And I attended this event 23 out of the 25 years with you, right? So every year, the night before the Super Bowl, it was sort of like same time next year, Nancy and I would get together, and your table was like... You Matt Stover, or you had Kadri, or you had John Ogden. There's always Ernest Biner.
Well, and we would laugh at it because they would be like, okay, those Ravens people one year brought a Johnny Unitas doll. We're going to go the next year to Indianapolis. Wayne had to have a little talk with me. Do not bring the Johnny Unitas doll to Indianapolis. I said, well, we're not going to because they've already stolen it. Someone stole it. And furthermore, next year we will bring... Edgar Allan Poe's grave, and they went, we're holding you to that. We built a 5-foot tall.
I know.
It was great. It was great. It was a birdhouse with a Ray Lewis doll coming out of a fog machine. So they would say,
fog machine, yeah.
The other teams would say, do not attach us to that Ravens quad because they have things going off.
Well, you won the best decorated table.
We always did. I was originally a theater and set design major.
Oh, I did not know this about you.
So I really got into it besides the food thing. But, it was a great thing because you could go to wherever that Super Bowl city was, and you could bring them a real crab cake. Not one where they go, oh, I got one last week, and it had some green peppers in it. And all. I think I was scratching my eyeballs out.
Or they're using Dungeness crab.
Oh, absolutely. Or whatever.
Which tastes like paper.
Yeah, or something from China that's been in a can on a boat for a year.
It's
and
gray.
Like, what in the hell? No, we can't serve that to anybody. So it was kind of cool. And, matter of fact, the one year that we were there, Billy Joel's band was there, and Mark Rivera, his saxophone
love
player.
Mark Rivera.
Mark Rivera was like, hey, it's the crab cake lady. The other chefs were like, do you know everybody? And I would laugh, and I said, well, I did cook for the band. They were fun, and Mark used to get me to deliver them to his dad in New Jersey, so it was kind of cool.
Okay.
I really, really love him. Great stuff. So, all these wonderful things, that you get to do in the restaurant business make up for all the crazy, awful things that we put up with. Like the last couple of years, anybody in this business cannot say they've had a lot of fun.
Right.
And this year, regardless of whether or not there's business or whatever, it's the cost of goods are just like literally making you nuts. It's crazy.
Well, and
it's
that's
really
in every
crazy.
industry, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
And we'll get to the political part whenever
Oh,
you
yeah,
want.
but like, for instance, I went, because I have those kids' camps, I went to buy some chocolate, and I'm a snob. So I got to go buy some Belgian chocolate, and I buy the chocolate back in April because you put it away. You don't want it to temperature change, and it was $100, so it was $10 a pound. I went back because I got more kids that signed up. I don't know, maybe a month and a half later, and it was $140, and you're just like,
Went from 10 a pound to 14 a pound.
Yeah. So
That's 40% by my. That's
that's
dog
not,
math.
right.
That's 40% in 2 months. So over the course of a year, that's hype. That's an inflation.
What do those poor people
right,
in Belgium do? That we
It's like
didn't
Venezuelan inflation or something like
What do
that.
we give them a 40% tariff? It's kind of crazy. I think there's actually, why I'm saying this is I believe there's a little thin layer of gouging going on with it too. So it's not been easy for anybody that's been in this business, but we still love what we do, and I think a lot of people need to understand that we're busting our butt to make it happen, and it's a restaurant business is a drug. You get in and you're going, I love this. I can't.
Sports radio was like that for me.
It was.
Yeah, and now I do this and sports. I do sports when I want to.
But did you write at some point?
I was absolutely right. Still am writing.
Because I thought
Right
we had the John Stedman connection at some
We
point.
do have the
in
John
time.
Stedman connection as well. The crab cake, in a general sense, I'll give you the whole background because you're probably like, why do you do a crab cake tour? Literally, you were one of the first people I thought of, and you can speak to this. Probably 15 years ago, I reached you and said, you got relationships at McCormick and different places like that, and you're the celebrity chef. Maybe we could do some sort of cooking show or go around town and have coffee and talk. You know what I mean? Like, the crab cake tour happened during the plague in 2020, and I heard you talking to Joe off air about restaurants and the plague and COVID and how tough it was and keeping places in business and how it depressed people. I walked across the harbor because I lived at Harbor Court. I walked past the aquarium to Amici's, and this was in the depths of the plague, right? It's a bad part of the plague where nobody had PPP. There was no shot. We didn't know what was going on. Orange Schitler's making stuff up about bleach. But all that's going on.
And I think the only way most people were surviving in those days is I've never seen such kindness from people. Everybody had a GoFundMe. Everybody was like throwing money at your employees because they didn't know whether you were going to survive, and they're like, okay, no, this place I like, that place I like.
Well, Amici's was my place.
Right.
And I walked over to Amici's and I ordered, Penny Amici, which, by the way, has the sausage from Pasquales in it. Now I know why it's so freaking good.
Yeah.
Right? So I walked in there, and there's Jody and Penny, which masks on, and Scott, and they're serving bags in the front. The whole restaurant's dark, right? Because they just had, and you would stop and get your bag, and it was like Oliver Twist. You would, you swipe your credit card, and you'd leave, and you'd have tears in your eyes and say, I hope you make it.
Yeah.
I hope I make it.
Yeah.
I hope my radio station makes it. I
Right.
hope your business makes it, right? All I kept thinking about, and this is a plug for Amici's Meatballs, which will be coming later in August, is I hope that I can come here and get a Penny Amici, get a meatball, sit and have the meatballs and bread that I love so much there, sit at the bar again, because we're just trying to keep businesses in business.
Right.
So this is 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, I decided to take the remnants of my Raven shows and the Monday Night Live show and said every business needs business. And I started looking through old pictures and getting wistful. And there's a picture of Ray Lewis eating his first crab cake and his first crab with me. And there's John Ogden eating crab cakes with me at the barn. And Brian Billick had never seen a crab in his life before I brought him crabs. And then he's taking me on his boat over to St. Michael's to the crab shack or whatever it's called over there and getting crabs. So I thought to myself, this is the Baltimore thing. Unfortunately for Darren, it's not sausage. Unfortunately for, it's...
Right.
But crab cake is the thing, right?
It is.
So I said to myself, everyone I know, including Nancy, thinks they have a great crab cake recipe.
They're all just different.
They're all completely different.
It's weird. Years ago, it was Southwestern, one of the airlines, did a piece about the tale of two crab cakes. And it was a great article, and it was like, if you really want the two best that they liked, you were going to go to Coco's and you were going to come to Pier Point.
Okay.
And I thought that was interesting. And then if you read the article, they said, well, if you need this like monstrously, really yummy tasting giant ball, go to Coco's. Now, if you want to go over to the caviar section of the crab cakes, you want to go visit Nancy. They said
And
one.
they thought you were bougie, basically.
They
right?
did.
Yeah.
Well, and they said because there's no bread in there, which there is none. And then we had a regular one, and we also have a smoked one. So the one that we've done with smoked started out as a thing I was doing for the. It was a reenactment of something for the
That
Federal
doesn't
Hill
even sound
picnic.
good to me.
No,
It just
you
doesn't
know
sound
what?
like something I'd like.
It's actually really good. If you ever drank bourbon, or you like sherry, or you like high-end tequilas, then you would really like that crab cake. It's not like barbecue smoke. It's more like smoked fish smoke. It's more of a little bit of picks up a little
Salty?
bit of the yes, but it does pick up the flavor of the cherry and apple that we use in there. The other thing about smoked food, which was a colonial thing, is it adds age to something. When something gets smoked, it literally will keep the outside from growing bacteria. So that's why they smoked everything colonial
That's
days.
why
Correct.
fish in Sweden and
Yep.
Norway or
And
smoked.
all
Okay.
smoked. So we did
see,
that
maybe
stuff.
that's my and really this is a grown-up conversation we're having about food right now, which is your palate changes, right?
Yep.
At least my palate. I'm 56 now. My palate is different. Maybe I should go back and try a sardine or things like that
smelts
that
are
I've
fabulous.
never.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when those kids come to that camp, sometimes I'll get a kid as young as 10. Most of them are older.
I haven't had a sardine in 45
I
years
love
because I had one when I
sardines.
was 10 and it made me sick.
Oh,
Like it's just
the-
anchovies or
I-
another
you know, I
thing.
went to
I
the-
think I hate anchovies
I went to the
until I get a
Greek
good.
festival.
If I get a good Caesar salad, I love an anchovy.
I went to
don't
the
know.
Greek festival a couple weeks ago.
I did too.
And I had a big, huge plate of fried smelts, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so good."
I saw them selling that, and I thought,
Oh
who's
no,
buying
I
that?
had them. Oh, I did. I was the one.
You're talking Greek Town, right? here
Yeah,
at
and
the
I have a
garden.
friend of mine who's Argentinian. She loves them too. The two of us sat there and like munching at these things.
I got the souvlaki because that's who I am.
But the thing is, what I try to tell these kids are, you have to sign up and you have to eat 1 spoon of something. If you don't want to eat it, I'm not going to fight with you. However, I'm trying to develop your palate, and then you might decide, I don't want to eat this, I don't like this, or you don't really know why, you're just grouchy that day or whatever. But later on in life, you might have a date with some girl, and you might go to a restaurant, and she might say she wants that, and you're going, you know, I never said I didn't like that when I was a kid, but I tasted it. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, so I'll try it again. And then I try to make sure that they go, you know what, I liked it. Because if we close our minds off to certain things, we never learn anything new. And life is about curiosity, and curiosity with food is endless. It's just endless. And so you just keep going on and on and on with that. And, you know, that's my thing. That is one of the reasons why I don't just a restaurant. You asked me some things about what we're doing. We do these crazy dinners in there that people sign up for. So the next one is a Bastille Day one later this month. And then there will be an Italian picnic, which the entire place is covered in grass. And it's all wonderful picnic foods from Italy. We had a French one a few weeks ago. Every 3 months
doing
there's a dim
experiences,
sum.
really,
Oh,
what you're
they're
doing.
absolutely
Yeah,
fabulous.
yeah.
But it's about allowing me to be able to use my brain and still be creative. And I think that's the thing with, you know, you're in business in your restaurant for 36 years. You can figure somebody can get really bored and stale. So you have to come up with other experiences to continue to keep making it happen. And, you know, like, so you're grateful that you made it through the pandemic. So then you go, okay, well, now I got to up my game because I got to do something new and something different. So those dinners are crazy. But then some of them are just like you pop in. We might have National Dumpling Day and you get a menu. And there's 25 different kinds of dumplings, and we handmade every last one of them of some crazy concoctions we made. We're just trying to have some fun. I'm trying to give people an opportunity to say, you know, we can always go to a restaurant. They got the same menu, same thing, same all this stuff. How about one night I just decide I want to check that out? Or some people come in and they go, she's the salad lady. Yeah, I am. I love salad. So I'll make them a salad and they'll be like, I'm not even going to ask what's in it. I only tell you what I don't like. Don't worry, that's not going to be in there. So
No
you know,
onions on me, you know. Whatever.
yeah, I'm just trying to have some fun. Keep
Well, that's
having
what the crab
fun.
cake tour was for me.
Yes.
Was getting around town and having the chains taken off from Darren and all my old sports listeners to say,
Right.
stick to sports. Stick to sports is a middle finger to me politically. It just is. Like, I'm more than sports.
But here's the funny thing. To go back to that sports thing. Sports and food are intertwined with a lot of ties. How many sports players have ended up opening a restaurant or interested in food? We joked about the John Stedman thing. John Stedman and my dad were very close friends. And thank you, Jesus, that one day you literally made a CD for me from an old tape that John and my dad did at a radio show because my father ended up with dementia and I could never understand him in his later years. But John Stedman used to write reviews about food in his column all the time.
I did not know that.
It would intertwine in between these sports things. I have a few of them.
Well, where I had a great meal, I can hear John saying, it was a great meal, Nance.
He was that kind of guy, you know, and you just think about this stuff. But a lot of sports people, you know, the story about Amici's Geno's, I think is very funny. You know, you ever heard the story about Geno's?
Gino Marchetti and the burgers?
Yes, and he was friends with Colonel Sanders.
Right, and that's how he got the KFC
And so the Colonel
recipe.
Sanders came to him and said, can we put that in there? And guess what happened? We rightfully have been able to say Maryland is a fried chicken place more than a lot of other places. So what happened when they put all those Colonel Sanders in the Amici's? Geno's.
Geno's.
They started selling more fried chicken than
Just
burgers.
mixing her Geno's and her Amici's up. That's
whatever.
great, isn't it?
And they all ended up being Kentucky Fried Chicken places.
Sure.
Until Gino reemerged later. But how is it that we have a farm store, rural farm store on every corner in the city, and they're always selling a lot of fried chicken?
And Western fries.
Yes.
Like, that's such a Baltimore thing.
Yes,
Western
it
fries.
is.
We had them
It
at Mother
is.
Hubbard's in East Baltimore, you know. Nancy Longo is our guest. She's a Pierpoint restaurant. So the crab cake thing. So the tour for me began as every bar in Highlandtown had a crab cake. Every sub shop in Dundalk went out. Every sub shop as a kid had a crab cake sub, a crab cake sandwich. They were all different. Some were filler, some were mayonnaise-y, some were mustardy. The Greek folks put the green peppers and the red peppers and the pimentos in there, which I'm fine. I'm not against any of that. If it tastes good, it is good. The crab cake thing began as a fun, like, I was doing business with Fadley's, doing business with Costas. Right. I knew Marcella. I knew you. I knew a bunch of people at restaurants. And then it's turned into, like, I'm 5-6 years into this now. They're like, which has got the best one? And I'm like, this was never about best.
It's not. You can't be because they all have different nuances.
Like, I would say if somebody picked yours and Coco's and overlooked Fadley's, they probably just don't like mustard. Because Fadley's crab cake is the only one I've had.
Yeah.
In a standard place that's really mustard forward.
Well, mine is too, but you know what? I use hardcore, very horseradishy Maille Dijon mustard. So it's potent.
Spicy.
It's got some kick to it, yes. But it's in
I don't know if I'd like that so much, right? You know?
If you bounce that against that smoked stuff, it's a very interesting and good flavor. But you have to understand, it's an education of a chef of understanding what things work together and what things don't. Some things you just don't do and they're weird. I remember years ago when they were like talking about Nouvelle cuisine, people were like making all kinds of weird and strange things. You're just like, okay, at some point you have to realize things don't work. So you learn things about culture when you go to culinary school. And you understand, like, if I make food from Maryland, I can mix it with things from New England because there's a lot of same generalities of things that are there, like clams or oysters or this stuff. I can do the same thing with things from Louisiana because there are things from there that we eat, go back and forth. It's about being able to mix things without making it too bizarre.
That people will recognize it to some degree.
And trust me, I love Fadley's. You know what? I love almost every crab cake I've eaten outside of my own.
I would agree with that. I had a horrible experience in Montgomery County.
I'm a snob about coddies. We can talk about that in a second.
Well, they're more salty, right?
So Dan Rodricks and I did this thing when we did the fish thing. We're talking about coddies. And he's like, you do the coddies, and we'll do the coddies. Well, the coddies have two different things. We have a French coddy, a Portuguese coddy, and a Baltimore City coddy. So we all know the Baltimore City coddy was a thing that was primarily in the Jewish neighborhoods, but made by the Irish, which means the damn thing was full of potatoes and had very little fish in it.
Okay.
Because they couldn't have, you had to have fin fish. You couldn't have shellfish. Okay, so, Barry Levinson, years ago when I was cooking for him, he had this girl that worked for me. She came in and she said, "What? Are you bugging him about Los Angeles?" I go, "No. We're talking about stale coddies at the 7-Eleven under the plastic dome. You wouldn't understand." Now, I am more of the type that likes the French coddy, which is mostly leeks, Lots of fish in there and some potato.
So it's oniony.
Oh, it's got a lot of things going on.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
and they're really yummy. But again, it might not. The
Baltimore cotty wouldn't be onion forward; it'd be potato forward.
No,
like a knish.
It's like yeah,
Right, okay.
yeah, or a hockey puck.
Right, okay.
In my opinion, but I like them with the fish. So when Dan and I did that last fish dinner, we had some of each kind, and we were like trying to explain to them that the tale of two cotties, that like depends on where you live, what you put in these things. And I think that's the same thing that goes back to that crab cake. Well, you know, a crab cake, do you really know where the story of a crab cake came from? Because this is a crazy one.
All right,
Paul,
Nancy's teaching us here. Nancy Longo from Pier Point doing Baltimore seafood history.
Paul Prudhomme and I were very good friends, and he and I for years would talk about crab cakes. I remember the first time I brought him one, and he said, that was really good after we breaded it and deep fried it. And I said to my friend Marty, please tell me I didn't make a face. He said, no, you were really good about it. I said, okay, cool.
I love fried crab cakes. So.
Yeah, but they would put like breading, like breadcrumbs on the outside
all right.
and deep fry them. And I'm like, okay. So originally, a crab cake was spawned from a thing in Louisiana where they would make corn cakes. So the slaves who worked the water trade would make crab cakes, not a crab cake. It was a corn cake, so it was a corn pancake filled with crab meat. And it had
Well, it's
corn.
like a taco now. It starts sounding like a
No,
tostada.
it was like a breakfast pancake filled with crab meat.
Okay.
So they would griddle them on both sides and they would eat them. So they said that as they would spend time, oftentimes going from Louisiana through, up the East Coast, back to the Nova Scotia, they would make landing sometimes in Chesapeake Bay. And at some point in time they did, and they told these watermen there about these crab things. And they said, well, you have plenty of crabs, you could do that. So they would make them here. And eventually what happened was these watermen kept saying, if we put less pancake mix in there and more crab meat, I wonder what that would taste like. And that's how it came to be.
That's a crab cake.
That's how a crab cake came to be. It was not originally a thing that anybody here thought of.
So you
Cool
mentioned
stuff.
Paul Prudhomme and other celebrity chefs. I had Andrew Zimmern on the show.
I love Andrew.
In maybe 17 or 18. It was 18. 2018. He came by, and he's done the show several times with me at the Super Bowl because he was friends with Wayne Kostrowski coming for Tasting the NFL.
Well, he's the one running that now.
Zimmern is?
Yeah.
So Zimmern said to me on this program, there's only one way to make a crab cake. You do this and this and this, simple, one way, that's it. And I looked at him. This is before I was doing the crab cake tour, and I did the, what? What do you, like, you haven't been to Maryland, dude. You know what I mean?
How many counties do we have in Maryland? Because for every county, there's a crab cake.
There are 23 counties and a city. There's 24 municipalities. I had a crab cake in every county in the state 3 summers ago for my 25th anniversary. Last year, I did 26 oysters, 26 ways. I had oyster fritters, oysters. I had oyster everything, right? This year, it's my 27th anniversary, and I swear I was going to do cream and Maryland crab soup. I was going to go around the state.
Yeah.
Holding on to that. That might be 28. What I decided to do this year, and this is where you come in.
Yeah.
I'm taking my 27 favorite dishes in Baltimore, my 27 honest-to-God favorite things and places to eat. And that's what August is going to be, beginning August 3rd.
That's what you need to do. Absolutely.
So I'm getting around town, and I'm picking my favorite places. Everybody knows Amici's is going to be on it. Everybody knows, like, how much I love the gumbo at Slancha and Cooper's, how delicious that is. So it's going to be little there's going to be an egg custard snowball involved in this, right? Peach cake season is on right now, So I'm just mentioning these little things that I have. But this is going to get me to 27 different businesses in 27 different ways. None of it has anything in common. It's not any specific kind of food. There's Indian food. There's Maryland food. There's hand food.
I've done a few of those for some friends of mine that are black about the 10 most important pieces of food that the African-American community has given to America.
Go ahead. What are they?
Well, one of them has been reimagined because you and I both know that macaroni and cheese originally was an Italian thing. But because they were in Georgia and they were using like pimento cheese, macaroni and cheese is one of them.
That's why mac and cheese is on every soul food menu.
Correct.
Okay.
Collard greens,
Collard greens, of course, right.
Gumbo is actually, believe it or not, because it was an African Spanish thing. You have to understand everything in Louisiana is like
Came off a
mulatto.
boat.
Yep.
Yep.
We did do, what is the name of that? It's a different thing that's made with pecans. That's not like a regular pecan pie. I'd have to pull this whole list up with them. We
Okay.
did do some corn cakes because again, that is an African American thing. There's another, like a chicken hash that I made for them that came from South Carolina. Anyway, I'm the whole
So these
list,
are 18th century recipes.
These are. You cannot bring a population of human beings to a country and say to them, "By the way, you're going to be cooking for us," and not say your food is American food. So really, most all American food is soul food.
Right.
Everything else we borrowed from Europe or Asia that we brought with us.
It's like freedom fries.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. But I'd have to pull that menu up for you. She's actually having another birthday in August, and we're gonna do the same thing.
All
So I'm
right.
gonna pick 10 different things. But these
I gotta have you on the show
These are
more.
the most known things. One of them might have even been like fried catfish, or instead of like lake trout, stuff that we
Lake trout,
we're
sure.
so used to knowing about. Matter of fact, because we did Juneteenth, and we had a whole. I said there were some people coming late. I said to them, I'm gonna have to pull the gumbo back, Chris, because we're not gonna make it. Because those guys at the bar had 4 bowls. Now I learned how to cook gumbo from Paul, so I know you're like a Cooper's. One day,
Well, there we go. I'm
you
coming over.
You come over and
All
you
right.
have
Well,
one.
here's what I'm going to
because-
do. I'm going to have you next month. I'm doing the show down at Slanch at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And by then, I will have 20 of the 27 foods out on the table. And what I am hoping is that I inspire some people to maybe run around to some of these places and try some little things that I like. Some of them are one of them is a pretzel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a pretzel that I like. So none of this is Gucci or bougie or even expensive. Some of these things are $2 and $3 and $4 items
Well,
that I know
tell
about,
you,
that I enjoy.
You know, the thing is it's about the integrity of the initial thing you started with. In other words, if that piece of pork or piece of meat or piece of fish or something is pristine when you start with, that automatically makes it bougie. Forget about whatever it is that you did to it. And so I think so many people don't understand that. It's like,
Quality ingredients.
absolutely.
That's the beginning.
It's really the most, and the thing with it's like with Faley's, why they can do it is they have connections to get the right crab meat from the state of Maryland, or other places where you're dealing a lot of crab meat. And I think that it does a disservice. And I know it was a big fight over that when they were talking about that blue crab stuff years ago. And you're going, but they can't afford to pay $50 a pound for this stuff.
That's why God made Venezuela and Italy at this point. So, by the way, I'm getting a little hungry. It's lunchtime. She's making me hungry. Nancy Longo is a celebrity chef. You can find her down at Pier Point Restaurant doing all sorts of interesting culinary things. I don't know what else to say. You're not like a normal restaurant with a normal menu. You did that for a long time. Now you're sort of like
we were closed,
chef on demand. You're chef on demand.
We were closed for a year and a half during the pandemic, and someone put up the money, and we did 26,000 meal boxes, and then another 26,000 single meals for people that needed food. I'm a big believer. You know me, because I belong to everything that's like it's my job to feed everybody.
She's the mother feed. When my wife was literally fighting for her life, and I was sort of at wit's end in a second cancer battle, you text me 4 days a week and said, I know you're up at the hospital. I just saw you post a picture. You're a mile and a half away. Dinner's always on the table for you. I love you.
Absolutely.
I love you.
Yep.
Thanks.
All
I'm
right.
going to take a break. I'm going to get her out next month. We're going to talk. Yeah, I have to have you back out.
Yes.
Promise me you're going to come out. I'm going to make you come down to Slancha when I do the show in Fells Point because it's close to you.
Yes.
So that way you can walk over.
Yep.
It's at the end of August. We're going to be doing that. 27 of my favorite things to eat for 27 years of double. I got to get a new logo. I got my 26th anniversary oyster here. I got to come up. 27 should be like a cake or like a tiramisu or something like that, or like a muffin with blueberries in it.
Yes.
I'm hungry. Where am I going to find something to eat here?
Real Italian, or that pizza. I may order one of those pizzas.
You're gonna get pizza. You're gonna have it. Okay, all right. She's gonna get the pizza. I'm getting the sausage. Darren, the Pasquales Sausage King, is gonna be here. Joe and Dom are gonna come by. Do you know the story of how they moved this thing from Highlandtown over here?
I don't.
I don't either.
I just
That's what I'm gonna
remember.
learn.
I just remember seeing Joe and him saying, "I'm going to move over there. They made me a good deal." And I went, "Okay, this makes me happy because it's in my." Either way, he was in my neighborhood. Either way, either up there or down here. He was
And
in my
you're in
neighborhood.
here all the time.
Yes, I do come here a lot. Matter of fact, we were laughing. We had a Pope party, and Joe came to the Pope party, and it was only for Italians. We drank all these bottles.
Well, I'm
stuff.
Italian on my grandfather's
I
side.
know.
man.
I don't know
So-
why it was a pop-up thing at the last minute. Some Italian showed up. And
Well, I've been doing this
bought
show
some
for
stuff.
34 years, and it never popped up to have you more regularly on the show. So.
I got plenty of stories to tell.
I know you do, and I told Dom when
Somebody
you
goes, "You
got
need to write a
here.
book."
I said when you got here, I told him you were loud and mouthy. Is that fair?
Yeah, I am.
She is.
I'm a
That's
redhead,
exactly.
you know,
All right,
we
Dom's
shut
going to
up.
be coming back. Joe's coming over. They're bringing. She wants a white pizza with mushrooms. She said it's the best thing
that
she's ever
mushroom
had.
Pizza here
That
is
mushroom.
The bomb. Yes.
I got you.
Yeah. See, that's what she. That's her thing.
Are you going to taste?
I've had people in here to tell me this sandwich, this sandwich, this sandwich. Joe said you got to get the meatball stuff. She says the pizza. Darren will swear if you don't get the
No.
sausage, you didn't come to Deep
Okay,
Pasquales.
so here's the other one. Watch this one. So when you make a pizza here, you don't make pizza with sauce on it that's squirting over the edges, right?
No, see, 'cause
because
they're
really
Italian.
Italians do not make
'Cause
it
he's
with all
Italian.
that sauce that it squirts over the edge. What is it with people and too much?
They've been to
That's
Chicago.
That's why I don't order tomato pizzas because they put too much sauce on them, and then the crust. Well, that and the crust never can get crispy because it's got too much tomato sauce.
Nancy's talking off mic
I
to
know.
a guy who's not on mic.
It's okay.
You got anything you want to say about that, Dom? Before I got a break because you got to make pizza and I got to talk sausage.
Well, Italians, they like the simple ingredients, not too many, and quality. That's basically.
We just went through that. That
Yeah.
was just what we said.
Yep.
It's the ingredients.
And you
Yep.
just got to breathe the tomato on there. It's not supposed to
Yeah.
be
They,
a bowl of sauce.
yeah, they overdo it.
They just do.
Sometimes to me, when you put too much topping on it, the bread underneath gets
Too soggy.
limp.
Yeah.
If I don't hold the pizza up, if it falls and everything
Yeah.
groups off it, nah, can't do that. It's
Right.
got to have that.
That crisp bottom
It's got to have that like a cracker
And-
kind of
exactly.
feel to it, a little crunch
Yeah.
to it, right?
and the perfect amount of toppings. That's the key.
I'm hungry. Where am I going to get some food?
All right.
We're at Deep Pasquales Marketplace. We're here in Canton. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery at Back to the Future Scratch-Offs. Nancy, I think she's going to leave. She might stay and eat pizza with me. You're welcome to stay. I'm not getting rid of you.
I'm going to try to get you to
I
eat
got
that
4
pizza.
mics. I got plenty of room. Darren's coming over with sausage. That's how this whole thing started. I'm going to learn the story about how the Deep Pasquale family got from there to here. Coming up next. I'm Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking food, which makes this Baltimore positive.